Welcome to the Traveller 2025 Mayday event. I'm your host, Frank Succardi of CyborgPrime Games. My guest today is Mr. Bob Loftin of SAFCO.
Hey, Frank.
SAFCOcast, sorry.
Yes, I'm not one of the company. I'm their game master.
Right. So, Bob, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you have to do with Traveller.
Okay. Well, I run SAFCOcast, which is a Traveller and Cepheus Engine podcast. My partner Jeff and I have been doing that for a few years now, and we're just coming off kind of a long semi-hiatus, but we recorded our first new episode together just a couple of days ago and posted it. I've done some episodes in between interviewing people about different things, but it was nice to get Jeff back on there. So what I think like for Traveller, for gaming in general, that's essentially the only thing I would be known for. And we started the podcast just because we liked the game and we thought it would be a fun thing to do.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get into podcasting and blogging, or what drove you to it? And then as a second part to that question, what made you do a Traveller blog?
Okay, you may have to remind me about the second part. Okay, so I went to grad school for library science back in 94 and 95. And right about that time, the internet was just becoming more publicly known. And actually, when I started grad school, the World Wide Web part of the internet was just kind of really beginning to have a public, be in the public consciousness. So I was in a great place to learn how to do some simple web design. And so during grad school, I essentially taught myself how to make web pages because there were hardly any books on the topic at the time. I actually made a page that was hosted at UT Austin because we all had some server space, and it was called Bob's Godzilla Shrine. And it was a Godzilla movie fan page. It's long gone, but so I learned how to make web pages then, and ever since then, I've always had some kind of personal web page up. From about 1999 to 2010, I ran a skateboarding website. Actually, it was the only large archive of video tips for doing skateboard tricks. Specifically, cool. Like old school flat ground freestyle tricks. And so that lasted until YouTube kind of really came online and offered free bandwidth. Back when I started the site, bandwidth was super expensive. So I had to keep the videos to like the full video of the trick to 300K or less.
Wow.
And so they really postage stamp sized videos on screen, but I did screen capture, so there was like sequential instructions, but then you could see the video. Because I had no idea until I finally installed a statistics program on the website, but it was getting 30 to 40,000 page views every day.
Wow, holy cow.
Yeah, like you couldn't, like a single person doing a website, that would never happen today, but 30 to 40,000 page views every day, which is why I had to pay a lot for bandwidth because it would crank through 7 or 8 gigs of bandwidth every day, and bandwidth was really expensive. There was no cheap place like YouTube where you could just upload stuff and sort of piggyback off of their bandwidth. So I did that for a long time, kind of until YouTube killed my traffic, and I didn't feel like going back and refilming everything and kind of redoing the site, so I just kind of let it die. But that's more or less kind of my background on internet stuff. I've done a lot of skateboarding stuff online though, on websites and message forums and whatnot. Um, as far as gaming goes, when we got our gaming group back together in 2014, because of that background, I think my inclination is just to create blogs and put campaign information and stuff like that online and write about it there. And I also just kind of enjoy doing all of that as a hobby. So, I made a subdomain of my main blog just for our gaming stuff. And I had been doing a freestyle skateboarding podcast for a few years that was really popular within that very small community. And so I just asked Jeff if he wanted to try one for Traveller because we were enjoying the game so much. And Jeff's like, "Oh yeah, let's do that." And that's how we started. There was no, and still is no great plan for world domination. We just like getting together and, like everybody else, getting together and talking about the game and sharing links that we find and talking about how much we love it. And sometimes we'll just talk about the crazy stuff that happens in our game sessions. And it's a small community compared to some of the other gaming communities, I think. But we've had a pretty good reception, and so that's really nice. We don't make any money from it. We don't try to make any money from it. It's not that expensive to run. We just put it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of the cool benefits of like modern technology is that you can basically run like a mass media platform, as an individual person. You can, the definition of mass media is basically like you put the stuff out there and then there's a self-selecting audience who picks it up. And so you just kind of, it's like a push model, but there's supposed to be some feedback involved where you're like tuning into what your audience wants, but yeah, it's cool to be able to just do that from your living room or from your office or whatever, broadcast a radio show, your opinion, whatever.
It is cool. And, when I was running the skateboarding site, I was very focused on analytics because it was expensive to run. So I had Google AdSense advertising on it and this other company called Burst Media that did banner ads. And for years, I lost money every month. And then like in 2005, 2006, all of a sudden, I started getting these checks for like $700 a month from Google AdSense because people were going to the site and clicking on stuff. It was nuts.
Wow.
And so I made back all the money that I had lost. and then it crashed. Like it went from like, 30 or 40,000 page views every day to like 200. Like it was like overnight, it just died.
Huh.
And that was, I would say, a few things happened right then. YouTube started becoming popular. And that was also about when I think most laptop and desktop computers started coming with video editing software.
Mm.
So you had easy access to crappy video editing software, but it got the job done. And then you had a place to put the videos. And so like ultimately, we know what has happened with YouTube. It's like, I don't know if they can even calculate the amount of video footage that's uploaded every second to. I can't even imagine the servers required to serve this stuff up or the air conditioning required to keep them from all burning up.
Right.
But yeah, it's amazing what you can do. But I was really analytics focused back then. Now on my websites, the SAFCOcast website is the only one I look at any analytics for. And I get analytics from Libsyn, which is our podcast host. And it's not because I am trying to make money from it or that Jeff is. It's just kind of a way to gauge, are people listening to the podcast?
Right. You want to know if your work is, if people are tuning in, Why am I doing this?
So a typical
Is anyone listening?
a typical SAFCOcast episode, like we posted, let's see, today's Thursday. We posted the new episode yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yesterday. It's had last time I checked, it's had 185 downloads so far.
Hey, wow.
So, I mean, that's pretty good for two guys talking about Traveller.
Yeah.
That don't pay for any advertising. When we put up a new episode, I just post it all over Discord and Facebook, really. That's and Blue Sky. That's all I do. And a typical episode, in the first 30 days, it'll be downloaded anywhere between 250 and 300 times. And then over the course of its whole lifetime, like we have episodes that have been downloaded around 1,000 times. A lot of them in the like 500 to 800 times. So, yeah, it's funny, like with Traveller especially, in any of the 2D6 games, I feel like our audience is kind of limited. Like, I mean, the audience for D&D 5e would be absolutely gigantic, and I'm
Right.
guessing probably even if you were doing a really hot podcast on Shadow Dark, it would be massive right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the Traveller people and the Cepheus Engine people are really easy to find and connect with, and they're really supportive. But like you sort of plateau real fast as far as your listenership goes, I think.
Yeah, it's like the total addressable market is not as big as D&D.
Yeah, and also
not by far, not by a long shot.
And of those people, I mean, some people don't like listening to podcasts. They just
Right.
don't listen to them for whatever reason, and some people just prefer video or whatever, and that's fine too. Where Jeff and I just continue doing our thing, and it's fun. We enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Right. If people tune in, bonus.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
We joke about retiring. We're going to make enough money from the podcast that we can just retire now.
Well, best of luck. I hope you get that good fortune.
Yeah.
Cool. So, so you found some success in your podcasting and blogging. So, so what have you been up to since we last checked in? Have you over the last year? How many SAFCO episodes have you published?
Over the last year, not many. So, and if you listen to the latest episode, we talk a little bit about that, but it really just is because we've been busy with other stuff. Jeff has a job that's very demanding and depletes him of energy, and I haven't wanted to bug him about it, and so we did like I said, we did our first one together a couple of nights ago, and it had been almost 2 years since we'd done one together. I've interviewed people, like I talked with you. I've talked to some of the other guys from the community, and posted those as episodes too. But we haven't really. We just haven't gotten very many episodes out, and we've tried to get together a few times, and something always happens. Like, we're going to record. Oh, okay. Bob's being called into work tonight or whatever, It's just been difficult to do. And as we said on the most recent episode, we used to record on Sunday afternoons, and somehow things changed in our lives. And now Sunday afternoon is not a good time for us. And I think I've finally come to accept that. Like, that is the day that we both need to be around the house doing stuff for the rest of our life other than the podcast. So we're talking about now we're going to try Tuesday nights from 7 to 8, like limit the amount of time. And really
surely you can find an hour, right? I mean,
even if we can just record like a 30-minute podcast, if it's a fun podcast, I think that's fine. Every episode doesn't have to be this epic thing where we cover every one of those sections that we usually do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're going to do. And I think it'll work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Some show is better than no show.
But yeah, in the last year, we haven't really gotten much SAFCOcast done. Game-wise, we have played our Traveller game a bit. It's been thrown a little bit of a monkey wrench because one of the guys moved from here in Dallas down to San Antonio. So now we're moving everything online again. So that involves more preparation time for me, the GM. I can't just jot some things down in my little notebook and we're ready to go. Like, I like to do a nice online game, as nice as I can.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm so happy about this tool, Frank. I mean, you're a digital artist. These things may come easy for you, but like, and I'm always amazed when I buy like one of your deck plans or something.
Mm-hmm.
I really off the air sometime I want to pick your brain about how you set them up for Roll20, because when I get one of yours, I feel like I just drop it into Roll20 and poof, everything's perfect. Like it's lined up with the grid, the measurements are right and everything. But like for me to draw something, like I don't want to, I can't draw with the mouse. I've got a Wacom tablet that it's one of the older ones, and the learning curve is just too steep. Like I cannot even draw a semi-straight line with it. Like drawing on the tablet and seeing it on screen, like the disconnect is, I can't work with it.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm so happy about. I got, for Christmas, I got an iPad mini just to read blogs and PDFs on. And I thought, I wonder what I could draw on this. So I downloaded Procreate on my iPad.
That's really popular.
And I started fiddling around with it just at my fingertip. And I was like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. I can create layers. Because I'm actually pretty good with these tools. I just can't draw with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I like the software. It gives me what I need without having a lot of overkill and stuff that's going to confuse me. So I ordered an Apple Pencil, the cheaper one, or the Apple Pen, or whatever they call it. And that thing has been a game changer for drawing maps that I can use in the game. Like, I've got a graph paper background that I use as like the base layer. Can draw on it, do my map and everything, export it, pop it into Roll20, do the align to grid tool, and I get it working. And it allows me to draw the map without making me want to go jump in front of a bus on the street out there. Or throw my computer down and smash it or something.
Yeah, no, that's something I noticed when I got into Roll20. At first, I was like, okay, well, they're like, oh, and you can even bring in maps off the internet and yada yada. And I was like, okay, so I tried that, and no, not really. Well, you can, but the ones you get off the internet are going to be low res. Then by the time you stretch them, they look like crap. And then the alignment tool, it works, but
it's wonky.
Not if the scan was not scanned in right, or the squares are not always square, or they're askew.
Right.
So yeah, it can get wonky. So really, what you got to do is just make a map to the proper scale, and then it fits.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken me a long time to figure this out because I'm not really prone to reading instructions for how to do things. I'll sit there and torture myself with but rather than reading the instructions. When I finally read the instructions, I'm like, oh, this actually might be easier than making me hate my hobby every time I try to do this.
Well, a lot of people felt that way, so I was like, if I could make these maps so people could just drag and drop them in like very minimal instructions, because basically you just make a map of the grid size I say, and then drag in and drop the map on there, and then boom, it's done.
I feel like the first time I took one of your deck plan maps, I did that. I just literally dragged it and dropped it, and it was like, boop, and it was perfect.
Awesome.
I'm like, how did he do that? Wasn't
easy.
I'm really excited about this tool though. Like the Apple Pencil and Procreate and that iPad are great. Like they're pretty good. So we're about to, like, momentarily you're going to hear my dog go crazy because the Amazon truck just pulled up.
Oh.
And he is all about like letting us know that there's a package. And one of his jobs as a Shetland sheepdog is to keep watch on everything. But then my wife likes to, after they drive away, if it's an envelope, she'll let him go out there and bring it in. And he prances in with his tail, like all proud and everything. He's so proud. I call him Postmaster Riley.
That's hilarious.
Here he comes. Let's see. He's really tired right now, actually. He went to doggy daycare today. Maybe he may be asleep.
Yeah, well, we don't hear him. He's not coming across.
No, he didn't go crazy. Like,
okay.
Now, if UPS or somebody rings the doorbell, or if the doorbell rings on television, it's on, man. So where were we before that?
No, we're just talking about like Roll20 tools. I recently found out that Roll20 is actually built into Discord, and it works pretty well.
I had no idea, because we use Discord like a lot of people for the audio channel. Because when we started using Roll20 during the pandemic, at the same time everybody else did, we could, like, the audio, there was always at least one of us you couldn't hear.
Yeah, it had a problem with the audio and video feeds, and everybody was using a third-party video vendors, like either NetMeeting or Zoom, or not NetMeeting, God, that's old. Zoom or Discord or something.
Well, I'm not complaining. I'm glad we could get it. I pay for like the pro membership for our group because
that transmogrifier is nice to be able to move all the characters and stuff to the next adventure.
It's really cool. But yeah, that's my latest like tool for the GM. I really like it, and it's kind of unexpected because, like I said, I really just kind of bought it for reading blogs and PDFs, especially that don't look good on a Kindle.
Right. I had a similar experience with my bought a Windows Microsoft Surface, and it was like $500, and I had some money at the time, and I bought it, and I was like, and I kind of had buyer's remorse, not because there was anything wrong with it. I mean, it was a really nice little tablet, and it comes with a pen, you can draw on it, and that was my intent, but I just didn't use it as much as I intended, and so I feel like I didn't get my money's worth in that respect. But so I kind of had a little bit of buyer's remorse, but not because of any problem with the Surface Pro. It was just I didn't use it as much as I imagined I would. But the one project I did a like starport landing pad, just like on a like island in the middle of the ocean. But it was it was really easy to get in there with the pen and just put in foliage and rocks and cracks in the asphalt and paint peeling, and I mean it's probably like one of my best maps. But
That's
it's
cool.
Even though it's just plain, just it's like a parking lot for ships surrounded by water.
Well, one of my favorite things to do
really
if
nice.
I'm working from home is if I'm working from home on one of the days when he is on Twitch, I keep a window open with Dyson's logos, because Dyson streams himself drawing maps. And at the same time, like, he's got like great musical taste, and so he's got like he never speaks. It's just drawing maps and music. And so it's kind of nice to have on one of my monitors, and I do some work. I look over there and see what Dyson's up to, but he makes it look really easy. That's what professionals do. You, Dyson, whoever. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, cool.
But
I haven't heard of him. I'll check that out.
Yeah.
So what other games are you getting up to?
Okay, so we're getting back to the Traveller game.
Oh yeah, let's get back to Traveller. Sorry.
So my group is getting back to it. And man, getting the iPad though, that like really made me want to get back online because I'd been kind of dreading it because the prep was just killing me. But now that it's easy, like I'm willing to play again online.
And the other weird thing about that is like you can play Theater of the Mind. You don't have to make maps. It's handy for just like the automated character sheet, or even if it's only the shared dice rolling table. That everybody gets to see the dice rolling, and so I mean you can use it on all different levels. But for me, I feel like I like to make the maps, and I want, if there's going to be a combat or something, or a boarding action or something, I feel like, especially combats, kind of need a visual. Where is everybody? What can I hide behind? What's going on here?
I prefer it that way as a GM and definitely as a player. Like when William, our player's running D&D 5e, he did some Theater of the Mind combats, and so he was totally fair with the combats. Like he always gives us the benefit of the doubt because there's no map, right? But I had a hard time visualizing where anyone was. What it's nice if you have like just, it doesn't even have to be to scale, just some kind of drawing to give you a general idea of where everything is and what your options are. So, and it doesn't have to be a great map to do that. It just needs to be something, I think.
Right.
So that's the way I prefer to do it.
I mean, even in D&D with like, dry erase maps or, battle mats and coins or dice for your minis if you don't have them, or whatever. So that's been like part of like gaming since the beginning. I mean, kind of laying out where everybody is. You don't have to do it for like as you're adventuring or whatever, but for certain things.
Well, I've been running a 5e game for we started last July for two of my Traveller players and my wife. So we have 3 player characters, and I didn't want to do like a kind of a typical 5e campaign with like kind of the standard tropes. So I listened to a bunch of the old Fritz Lieber, Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser stories on audiobook, which I read a long time ago. And I listened to a bunch of the Conan stories and some Elric too, all on audiobook to kind of get me in that frame of mind. So I'm running it, but like we do have demi-human races, but they're kind of few and far between, and I'm actually doing it mostly like in a big urban area, like a big city. And it's been super fun. And the thing is, I think running the Traveller game for all this time has helped me ref the other game much better. So that's been something I've been doing, and I'm enjoying that a lot.
Like, in what ways do you feel it's helped you?
Traveller?
Yeah, reffing the Traveller, helping with D&D.
The main thing is that so with our Traveller group, it's hard to get them into a lot of trouble. They're really smart players, and I make a real effort to have games that are mostly non-combat challenges, and to come up with challenges and stuff to overcome that isn't repetitive. Like I'm trying to come up with new things all the time. A lot of exploration and stuff like that. And the Traveller game, I've also spent a lot of time coming up with recurring, colorful, good NPCs. And I did this before that when we were playing, we played a short campaign that's technically still going on of GURPS Cyberpunk. So with only 3 characters in 5e, let's face it, 5e, typically pretty combat-oriented game, right? Like it's...
I've heard that. I've heard it's also like super overpowered. Like everybody's like a superhero.
It can be, for sure. And so I didn't want the game to just be like an exercise in constant fighting and battles, because that's not interesting to me as the game master.
Right.
So I had them make characters, but like, there's not a fighter. I told them, don't worry at all about party balance. There's only 3 of you. I want you to make the character that you want to play, something interesting. So we've got like a bard, a rogue who can cast spells, and a cleric. And we'll go whole games where there's hardly a sword drawn. I'm really trying to lean into some of those non-combat skills that all the characters have, and those kind of challenges, because with only 3-player characters, it would be easy to just have a total party kill without really intending to.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I feel like what I've tried to do in the Traveller game, I've kind of continued over into the D&D game. And I think, honestly, I think both games are the best GMing I've ever done. Like, because when I was younger, like, we had a lot of fun with our gaming, but when I think back, like, the games kind of sucked. Like, like they were the games of 15 and 16-year-olds, and we had a great time, and I loved them, but like, I wouldn't want to play in one now, and I wouldn't want to run one of them now. And I feel like when I was around 18 and then through college, especially playing Champions, especially after having read Aaron Alston's Strike Force supplement for Champions, which is kind of the first, I think it's the first gaming supplement that really explained how a good game master runs the game. And he talks about the history of his campaign and how that was developed in his note-taking techniques and all of that. I read that, and in my gaming, in my games, I always tried to kind of shoot for what Aaron Alston had attained, but I wasn't patient enough or mature enough to quite get there. But apparently in my 50s and 60s, I'm closer to that. So, to some extent, I kind of feel like I'm using 5e in a little bit of a non-standard way. I mean, the biggest thing I'm doing is, like in Traveller, there is no monster manual, right?
Right.
So, I've pulled a few things out of the monster manual, but like, generally I just make up my own stuff, because like, a lot of the monsters that D&D gives you aren't appropriate for a Conan story or a Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser story. They're just not, really, given, I would love to run the game using Omer Golenjol's Sword of Cepheus system, because it's really designed to mimic those kind of books. But my players were just like really getting used to 5e. My wife was really enjoying it. I didn't want to just pull the rug out from under them and we're not using that anymore. It sucks. We're going to use this other thing, It doesn't suck. If you have a good game, you have a good game.
Right.
It's just kind of how you use the materials.
Sure. You don't have to play a high fantasy game, you can play swords and sorcery. You can. It's so, we're having a good time with that, and but I do think like the years now of Traveller game mastering has helped me run a better D&D game. So we've been doing that for a few months now, and we're playing again this weekend. And then the Traveller group, we're getting together. The hope is we'll play online once a month. And that is about as much time as I can work into my life for running and playing in campaigns. I've got other activities I do, and until I suddenly get an extra 2 or 3 days in the week, I'm not gonna be able to do anything else. So, tell us a little bit about your blogging activities. So, it seems like you start a lot of blogs.
Yeah, so I say I'm a compulsive blogger.
Did you start any new blogs in the last year?
I did. So, okay. I've had this blog. It's a personal blog. It's called concretelunch.info, and it's about skateboarding and whatever else I happen to think of that day. And a lot of times it's just a picture of my cat or my dog or, whatever. Some gaming, some skateboarding. So that's been a hobby for a long time. And a guy I used to work with down in Austin, um, I found out that he had started a platform called a Micro.blog. Okay. So this guy is a longtime Apple developer and internet guy. I worked with him briefly at a small internet company. So Micro.blog is a platform specifically built to make blogging easy for people. And so I'm like, oh, he's doing this. I'm going to sign up because you can get an account for $5 a month. So it's not free, but you get a lot for your money. The other thing, he has like a thing called like premium. So for $10 a month, you get an account, but you can have 5 blogs. And so I have a skateboarding blog there, a couple of others that I just post stuff on, and then I don't know, a month or two ago, I started one called 2D6 SF for 2D6 science fiction. And it's a personal blog where I'm just, if I'm thinking about something with Traveller or Cepheus Engine, any of those products, whether it's Omer's or John Watts or whatever, I'll write about it. So it's stuff that I think, like I want to write about, but I don't necessarily think it needs to be on SAFCOcast as a discussion topic. So the address is 2d6sf.micro.blog. I haven't bought like an official domain name for it. I may, depending on whether I get tired of doing it, and but a cool thing about this platform is that it allows you to create a podcast for free. It has like podcasting built in. So for instance, there's you can log on, you can type up a post on your computer. There's an app for Android and iOS that you can create posts on too, but there's companion apps, and one of them is called Wavelength. So you can record a podcast, like a simple one-person podcast on your phone using Wavelength, and then post it on your blog. So like for people who just maybe want to get their feet wet and figure out how it works, it's a great platform. So anyway, that's my plug for Manton's business, but it's a great site, and I actually like that it's not free, because I think that if you're a paying customer, then you have some influence over what's going on with the business model or whatever. Like if you don't like what's being done with it, you can take your blog and move it elsewhere. And it's designed to facilitate that. It's federated, so like if I post on my blog, I can have it automatically federate to Mastodon or whatever. So there's a lot of cool things with it, but and I didn't come on here with the intention of just plugging my friend's product, but that's where my blog is, and it's really cool. And because it allows you to have 5 with the premium account, it's super easy for me to just go, I think I'll try this tonight, and then and the compulsion is fed that way. So I've been writing stuff there. I've got a growing list of online resources for 2D6SF that I like to use, but it's just a personal blog where I write it. It's not like I'm not giving advice there or whatever. It's just me writing about stuff. And honestly, like when you think about some of like Robert Pierce's blog where he posts these great schematics of spaceships and all of that, the artwork. I don't have anything like that. It's just me, it's mostly me writing.
Mm.
I haven't even done a podcast on it because I don't want to try to like. I've done enough of that. People hear my voice enough. I just want to write things that I'm interested in.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and then go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you write stuff to kind of get it out of your head, like you've been dwelling on an idea and you just kind of want to put it down to clarify it, or
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah.
It's kind of a tool to help me figure out what I actually think about something.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I had our Traveller campaign, Into the Void. I finally actually bought a domain name for our campaign blog, which is travelleritv.blog. And I'm running that off of a WordPress site. So I just moved everything off of Blogger and dropped it into there and kind of massaged it a little bit. And I had this really cool theme I was using that looked like an old school computer terminal with green letters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked it, but it was hard to read.
Oh yeah.
Like, and so I just switched it to like a kind of a white background, more plain format that's easier to read now.
Right.
But those are the blog things I've been doing. Yeah, anything I'm interested in, I am compelled to write about it always.
Cool. What about have you found? I've heard that you like to peruse Traveller content on eBay.
Yeah, so I posted some stuff on Blue Sky the other day, but I've got my current stack here. Like every few months, I'll remember that I collect stuff, and I'll go, I wonder what I can find on eBay tonight. So I ordered like 8 things the other night. I got this Journal of the Traveler's Aid Society.
Cool.
I got a couple of things, the old FASA things, Fate of the Sky Raiders, and this other one. This is one of the supplements from GDW that I didn't have, Animal Encounters. I'm really stoked about this because it's Luna, a Traveler's Guide by Mark Miller from StarQuest Games. So I think, yeah, Jeff, I believe this is the same thing that Jeff found printed in Dragon Magazine several years ago, and we talked about it on SAFCOcast, and then I just found it printed up here. So that's kind of cool. And then I love zines in general, and I didn't know, I had no idea what this was all about, but it's Alien Realms, and I got issues 1, 2, and 3, and it's a Traveller zine with stuff about, you can use for Traveller or Mega Traveller, it mentions. So it's from the Mega Traveller era.
Okay.
But I've got like a reasonable collection of the GDW stuff and stuff from that time frame. Like I'm not close to having everything, and I don't really like to collect stuff generally because I don't know, man. Like I just don't need a bunch of junk laying around.
It's hard to collect everything. I mean, I back in the Little Black Book days, I just had the books I was interested in. I had a friend who like bought every kind of Traveller thing, but I was like, Scouts, or like, whatever. I just had the book I wanted, and that's it.
Well, with the Traveller stuff, the nice thing is the GDW stuff. You can have all of it, and it doesn't even take up like the classic Traveller stuff. It doesn't take up half a bookshelf because everything's so compact. So it doesn't take up a lot of room. You can still acquire most of the stuff. I mean, it's expensive, but if you just buy one thing every now and then, it's not too bad. And I just I like having that stuff. I've got all of Mark's CD compilations of the old Traveller stuff. Like I've got the classic Traveller CD. I've got all of his PDFs of the journal. I've got Apocrypha, all of that stuff on CD. So I could print things out. I can put them on my iPad or whatever. But having the actual physical thing is kind of cool.
Somebody gave me the Traveller like Adventures, and it's like a sideways 8.5. It's like 8.5 by 11 turn landscape and bound on the short side, so it like sticks. It's kind of weird, but it's it keeps the original format of the books. I guess I just like laid them out and photocopied them or whatever, but it sticks out on my shelf oddly. It's like that much wider than all the other books.
Well, I'm looking at my shelves now, and my Traveller stuff really is back there, and it really needs to expand to 2 shelves now. Like it kind of already has, but not officially, because I've got stuff up there for Traveller, and then I've got tons of stuff from Independence Games that John Watts sent me like a couple weeks ago down there. And like his core book for Clement Sector is like this thick.
Yeah.
And it's really good. So I want to have all of that stuff together. And I mean, he sent me more stuff than I'll probably ever read, but I love his stuff, and kind of like buying your stuff. I've bought a lot of his deck plans online to use in my campaign because I suck at drawing ships.
Right.
I'd rather like worry for me. I'd rather worry about the scenario and what's going to happen and non-player characters and all of that than spend my time drawing a ship.
Right. Or designing one.
Yeah. I mean, that's not my strength. So it's nice that you can get all of these great deck plans and just drop them in. You need a freighter that's wrecked on a planet, just drop it in. It works fantastically. Yeah. So
awesome.
But I mean, I've collected a bit, and I've got a lot of repeats of stuff. Like I think I became a bit of a hoarder during the COVID lockdown. Like in my skateboarding hobby, a lot of the materials were hard to get. So like the wheels that I like to use on my skateboard, when they were available, I would order like a bunch of extras. So when the lockdown kind of ended and things returned to normal, I had this pile of wheels, like just packages of wheels. And so I have like there's other reasons too, but I have like 7 copies of the Traveller Facsimile Edition.
Whoops.
I mean, it's fine. Well, I thought, somebody I meet might want one. Here's the Facsimile Edition. Cool. Maybe we'll give them away on SAFCOcast as a prize. And I've got a couple of copies of the Traveller book. And when we started the campaign, since we're using classic Traveller, and the Traveller book it's cheap on drive-through. Like it's not like $15 or $20 or something. And I bought all my players a copy of it so they would actually have the rules. But I've got that, and I've got Omer's new game, Faster Than Light Nomad. I've got the hard copy of that got it from drive-through, I guess, and so but yeah, the Traveller stuff is the only gaming stuff I really collect. Like the D&D stuff, I just have the core books. That's all I use. That's pretty much it. Like I don't have boxes and boxes of gaming stuff around.
I used to collect Mech Warrior. I have boxes and boxes of that. I've been thinking about donating to the local game club. I used to Champions was my favorite game, so that was the game I collected everything for, and then also probably Shadowrun.
Well, Champions was my favorite game too.
You want to play sometime?
I would love. I would love to actually. Right. I love the game. I ran it exclusively, like pretty much during late high school and all through college.
Me too.
That's the only game I wanted to play, but I didn't buy a lot of the stuff. It's funny, like when you look back, for me, when I look back at the cost of everything, you look at it, it's like, oh, this Traveller supplement was only $5. $5 was worth a lot more money back in 1983. It was like $15 or something. And if you don't have a job, if you're a high school kid, like even just buying a magazine is like, okay, what's the opportunity cost of buying this magazine? I can buy this issue of Dragon, or I can save up and get this new other book, you know. You know, I
used to love Dragon magazine. I just waiting
I liked
for
it too.
like Traveller articles to be in there, or like, man, I love miniatures, like Ralph Partha miniatures. And they always had War Games West, which was a local War Games shop down in Albuquerque, used to run ads there, so it was nice to support that. And yeah.
Yep. But I would actually, I would not mind playing Champions. I have like, I have one edition of Champions over here. It's Champions Complete. So when I was looking to just get like a new version, because I think the last version I had was the big blue book.
Okay.
Third or fourth edition.
Fourth edition
with the cool
Dr.
martial artist guy with on the cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this one, I was surprised by some of the changes they made to character creation, but I think they're really good changes, actually. Like when I look at it, like, okay, this is actually a good thing. It's just that, you know, you start with a lot more points because you've got to buy, there's no figured characteristics. You have to buy everything. But I think my evaluation of it is that the changes were really good changes. But like, I probably like you, I couldn't do it right now because of the new rules. But back then, I could sit down and like write out a really complicated character from memory. Like I didn't have to have the book out at all.
No, I do it all the time. I stat like every superhero I see, or like even like stupid things in the world. Like I think about it in like Champions, you know, framework.
Yeah.
You know, we were doing some things like giving away free packages to the players, like the California package. It's like, you know, talking on the phone while you're driving. You get combat driving, something else, and it's like recognizable, so it buys it back down. So it's just like a free thing you can give to people. You know, there was like a you know, advantages that were also bought back down through disadvantages to be like a zero total point package, just to add flavor, you know. And that's kind of something cool that they did in 5th edition, was they started putting column notes in the sidebar that were like energy blast, like little templates that you could just use out of the columns and transfer, right, you know, that were worth 10 points, 20 points, 50 points, whatever. There are these little bundles of a power with typical settings and, you know, and a point cost, so you could just like assemble a hero out of these bits in the columns.
Now, I've had no desire at all to look at, collect, or play Traveller Hero.
Me neither.
Like, to me, like, because I just don't think the hero system, to me, doesn't translate well to like down to like the normal human being level of things. I know you can do it, but I'm like, I think maybe because I started with supers, it just doesn't make sense to me that much to do that.
For me, it's hard to break out. I know you can do D&D, you know, there's Fantasy Hero, there's Champions Hero, there's Auto Duel Hero, there's Traveller Hero, you know.
I just like Champions. That's why I didn't buy the whole hero system book. I just need the Champions complete book. That's all I would be interested in doing. I don't know if you've ever had a chance to look at, or if I've blabbered about it to you. Jeff D's Villains and Vigilantes 3.0. So I don't like, he created with this other guy, I think Jack Herman, Villains and Vigilantes when he was a teenager.
Right.
And so it's gone through a couple of iterations, and the current version, which for weird copyright reasons, it's called the Mighty Protectors, V&V 3.0. It has something to do with ownership of the name Villains and Vigilantes. I don't really understand it, but it's, as far as like if you wanted to simulate characters actually from the comics, it works better than any game I've ever seen. Like it's really cool. And there's a guy on my gaming blog, gaming.concretelunch.info. There's a link to this thing called MP Write-Ups, Mighty Protector Write-Ups, and one of the guys he plays with has written up like every comic book character. And when you look at the stats and then you see how everything works, it really works. And it's not like with champions, you buy the basic power, then there's modifiers and all of this, and you can do a lot with it, but it's complicated. With Mighty Protectors, everything for that stuff, it just works. And the scaling is like, I won't get into it because this is not about that, but the scaling of powers is really interesting, the way he did it. The problem with the game, and the reason I've never run it, even though I considered it, is it uses a lot of different kind of dice, and like the strength to me, besides being like, I think the first game that did point character creation like Champions, right? The thing that made Champions really strong was it had like that unified resolution system. 5 points, you spend 5 points on a power, the next 5 is twice as powerful, and then the next 5 points is twice as powerful, and it was like a really unified system. And V&V 3.0 doesn't seem like that to me. And I watched some of their videos actually playing it, and like the combat was really cool, but it was just more than I want to bite off.
Yeah.
Like but I kind of have nothing but good things to say about the game design, really, because it's amazing. I could go on and on about it, but I think
we should do a sci-fi podcast on another show, because I could talk about that all day long.
Well, I think he's actually run a space game using the system too.
Oh, cool.
So Jeff's an interesting guy.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's anyway. But that's my gaming shelf back there. I think what I've like the other games I have back there are, I've got the current core books for RuneQuest, which I will never play, but I'm fascinated by that, and I've got a really old like single book version of Call of Cthulhu. I've got the Hostile Setting book. I've got reprints of D&D, AD&D 1E and 2E.
It seems like there's a lot of crossover between Traveller players and Cthulhu and Champions, I'm noticing.
Yeah, well, I've also got tons of GURPS books too. Like I love GURPS too. I'm just not running it right now, but I love that system. And it's like another one where everything's like really unified. Like there's same system pretty much for everything. And so it's a lot of fun.
So what do you got going on podcast-wise nowadays?
Well, I'm not sure what the next episode is going to be about. We haven't really discussed it. I've got some ideas. One of my ideas is there's this, we talk in the most recent one about a couple of articles on blogs. Traveller Out of the Box is this thing. I think it was on Tales to Astound, that blog. But it kind of, the guy writes about the strength of classic Traveller, and what I loved is like this argument that classic Traveller is not broken. Like, people, oh, you need the most up to date version. Yeah, the new versions are all cool, but he makes a strong argument that classic Traveller is not broken, and I'm not sure how I want to approach that, or if I have anything else to say about it other than just read this article. But I'm kind of interested in that, and we'll come up with something though. There's plenty to talk about. If you just do a podcast about all the new stuff that comes out every month, that's a podcast right there. If you like with all the people creating scenarios and tools and stuff,
right? And now Mongoose is kind of they've now that they have the Traveller IP, they are producing new classic Traveller books. They're
Right. They just came out with Pirates book. Yeah. We talked a little bit about that on the last show. Like, it's amazing. Like, I'm really glad that they're not ignoring the classic system. I think that's great. Because it's still very usable, you know. If you just kind of get over yourself as being like a person who lives in 2025, it's a totally usable system. I don't really think that. I was going to say, I don't think the system's that important. It is important because I think you want a system that supports the kind of game you want, obviously. But I was thinking about this earlier this week. I think the things that are making my games better than anything I've done before have nothing to do with the systems I'm using. They're all like things like simple stuff like being patient at the table, like not panicking if the players aren't moving forward. Just give them the time they need. Like, don't panic. Like, evaluating, like, okay, are they really stuck? Do I need to throw them a little clue? Like, actually taking your time to do things, taking good notes, and like really devoting some thought between games to like loose ends and things that could happen, and creating really interesting NPCs for them to encounter that aren't just cannon fodder. Like, and those are things that like go like from one system to the other. Like, those are useful. They're almost not even skills. They're just things to be aware of, I think. And so I've been thinking a lot about that just as far as game master stuff. Because, I mean, there's a lot of advice out there about, here's a way you can keep records and this and that. And like, people will figure things out that work for them. But like, you can't force somebody to be patient at the table. They have to learn that on their own.
Right.
I mean, we've had times in our game where they do something and I'm just not sure what to do. Like, I don't want to do something stupid. And I'll go, hey, guys, why don't we take a 10-minute break? And I'm going to go back in that room back there and just make some notes and think about this so that the game doesn't suck going forward. And my players are, hey, great, we'll just sit here and talk, bio break, whatever. Like, realizing that as a game master, I'm not responsible for entertaining them for every single second they're in the game. Like, they're part of it too. And it's great when you have a group that understands that and actually supports it and understands that, like, you're one of the players too, and you need to be having a good time.
Right.
Because like, while you're game mastering, like, you have to be on and focused all the time.
Right.
Whereas they don't have to be, right? Like, you're always on, and it's exhausting. Like, like after a couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours, you're tired.
Yeah. I have my players wanted to build a still and go from planet to planet buying like rotten fruit or fruit that's about to go rotten at a discount, and then make cordials and things while they're traveling from place to place. And they were like, well, how much is a ton of rotten bananas, and how many barrels of of booze can we store in our cargo bay? I was like, okay, look, you guys got, if you want to do this, you have to play, figure it out. So let's take some, like you say, take some time. You look up barrels and figure out how many barrels can we fit in a displacement ton. You figure out like how much, go look up rotten bananas, or like what a ton of bananas costs or whatever. And we'll all come back in 10 minutes and you guys can have your plan about how you're going to do this.
Yeah, that's a good way to handle it, because like, they're the ones who want to do it, not you.
Exactly.
So they've got to figure out how to do it. And
how
if they
much
want,
is whiskey going to be worth after it's done, and do all the accounting for you.
or the other option is, if you guys don't want to do that, then I'm just going to make something up, and you don't get to argue about it.
Right.
And my players would never argue about it anyway.
No, mine either.
Like,
They'd give me a hard time, maybe, but I'm like, well, then if you don't like it, you should have done it yourself. You have a lot on your plate, my friend. You're very creative.
I'm busy, and I do all this blogging and the podcast and everything. Theoretically, I practice Aikido 3 times a week, so that's pretty tiring, actually. Like on Aikido nights, I'm not doing anything more creative. And I mean, then there's skateboarding too. Like I'm finding that having 3 hobbies that require a tremendous amount of time is really hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
But the gaming and especially Traveller are really important to me, and Jeff and I love the whole 2D6 community. It's the best. Like it's the best gaming community I've found online, really. I'm not sure why. Maybe just birds of a feather. I don't know, but it's really great. And just we're really moved by people that were excited that we've released a new episode. It means a lot to us because we're just 2 guys playing the game and talking about it.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Hey, you have time for 1 or 2 silly questions, don't you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Why don't you throw a D66 for us and tell me what you got?
42.
42. That's a good one. If the Imperium suddenly drafted you, what branch of service would you want to be in?
I'd be a bureaucrat. If I can go into Citizens of the Imperium, I would be a bureaucrat.
Okay.
That's one of the character. I think that's one of the. I'm pretty sure
careers?
That's one of the careers. Yeah. I'd be a bureaucrat. I totally want to play a bureaucrat. Absolutely.
You have to fill out form 27/2 for that one.
I want to be like the evil bureaucrat from the Imperium who like makes everybody's life miserable, but then has a change of heart and becomes an adventurer.
That sounds fun.
And then everybody's out fighting, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh my God, we don't understand how this bureaucratic system works." Well, I am here to help.
All right. Yes, good answer. All right, roll again.
Okay. 45.
45. What's your favorite Traveller house rule or homebrew mechanic?
Oh, so we have a few house rules. I like our vehicle combat system that I just kind of made up before I realized anyone else had done it. But the one that I kind of like that I feel like hasn't been used very much is for Classic Traveller, I wrote up house rules for the scientist career because it didn't make any sense to me that you roll up a scientist and it doesn't tell you what science they're involved in. It's just like, oh, you just have computer skill. So I made up some rules for like, okay, here's what scientist actually means, and you can, and so it's not super exciting, but like, I do like that house rule. If somebody actually rolled up a scientist sometime, that would be pretty fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, one more, then I'll let you go to dinner.
Yeah, my first answer was a lot funnier than the second one. So 31.
31. If you could rewrite one Traveller rule, what would it be?
None. I think they got it. It's perfect as is. I guess actually, this is not a single rule. I would make the whole ship combat system fun for someone who's not a war gamer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because Jeff and I always think that like the whole vector movement system, and like when you get into ship combat, I mean, you can see it's designed by a wargamer, somebody who designed like, war games with chits to move around and all of that. And I would prefer something that's a little bit faster moving and a little bit more cinematic. And I know the thing is, I know a lot of Traveller players love designing giant warships. Like it's like that's a separate sub hobby, right? Ship design and like statting them out and having battles. So I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade, but like that's not my thing. So I do have like some more Star Wars-esque ship combat rules that I made, and it's nothing complicated, but what I like to do with them is the few times that they've been in a fight, my guys have been in a fight in their ship. I like to move from character to character inside the ship, and okay, you're on the guns. Okay, William, you guys just got hit, and it hit the power plant. You're the engineer. You've got to go. Like try to keep everybody involved in like a little bit more exciting way, and
in more of a cinematic way than like outside the ship.
Yeah, because it's a role-playing game.
Right.
So let them continue role-playing during the ship combat.
Right.
That's a part of the game that I've never in-game used the vector system.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah.
I mean, for one thing, nobody wants to get in a ship fight. The ship's expensive. You don't want to get it blown up.
Right. Yeah, it's like putting your house in personal danger,
Right.
Right. All right, man. What's a good way of contacting you?
So if you want to talk to me about SAFCOcast, if you've got ideas or whatever, it's safcomailbag@gmail.com. That's Safeco with no E. So it's SAFCO cast. Excuse me. safecomailbag@gmail.com, and it'll all get forwarded to my main Gmail account. And we call them X-Boat transmissions when people send us email.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually have a SpeakPipe account now. There's a link on safecocast.com. You can leave us a voicemail, leave us threats, hate mail, whatever you wish.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Bob, this Mayday 2025. I do appreciate your participation.
Well,
thank you so much.
Thanks for taking your valuable time and organizing all of this again and making everybody's life a lot better in the Traveller and Cepheus Engine universe. You do a great job. It's a real service.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Right. And I appreciate you too, dear viewer. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, happy traveling. Don't fly solo through the galaxy. Click like to join our alliance. Subscribe for your crew pass, and enable notifications to never miss an encounter. This journey is fueled by my patrons. Thank you, patrons. Feel the thrill of discovery. Become a patron and join the adventure.